Whovians, and welcome to another episode of Her Station Who. That's right, folks, we're back. We're not going anywhere. You guys are stuck with us for a long time. And it's going to be a great adventure for us to talk tonight. We are going to continue what we did 2 episodes ago. We are going to be talking about the definitive episodes of Doctor Who, and we are looking at the modern era of Doctor Who now. So that basically means we are looking at Doctors 9 through 15, but like last time, we are not going to be looking at the War Doctor. We're not looking at the Fugitive Doctor. We're not looking at the Peter Cushing Doctor and, any others that, including the Sharka Doctor. So we're going to just be doing what has been on television as the main doctors. And it'll be interesting to talk about. And we've got a great crew definitely here to talk about it tonight. Returning once back to the show is Alan Siler. Welcome, sir.
Hey, thanks, everybody. Nice to see you all.
It's good to see you, sir. And of course, we have our regulars. We have Melanie Dean.
Hello, everybody. I can't wait to start talking some Who with you.
And Ms. Mary Ogle.
Hi, everybody. Fantastic to be here.
And last but never least is Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy. I'm kind of surprised we were back. I thought we were going to tender.
Well, nobody was putting any bids on the show, so I figured we might as well come back and just do it on our own.
I thought you meant
not to be confused with Tinder.
Thank you. That's what confused me. I'm like, why would we be on Tinder?
Because everyone was swiping left, not right on us. That's why.
So, Lord.
What app are we on again? I don't know.
Grinder.
Grinder.
Right.
Grinder.
Oh, no.
Oi. I know plenty of people who are up on Grinder, and, all the power to them. I'm not. No, not going there. But we definitely would love to hear from you guys. Please write us. Feedback at ourstationwho.com is the best way to get in touch with us. Or if you get a chance, please like and subscribe. It would be awesome if you did. And, that's how the people find us. That's how people, you find out when we have new episodes. And we're going to continue going, folks. We're just right now still monthly, but we're still going all the way through till Doctor Who returns, or whatever happens. We'll be here to do it because we got a ton of stuff still to talk about. Well, exactly. It'll be, God, 5 years is 2031. God.
Oh God, that is depressing.
Yeah, it is. But, thanks, Mary. That's cool. It's awesome. No new Doctor Who news, so we're going to just skip over it right now. And, there's rumors, there's lots of little he said, she said, and I don't even want to get into it. It is what it is, folks. And, there's a lot of reputable sites out there. There's a lot of great YouTube channels for you to check out. And definitely, thank you for those who are listening with us. And we are, up there, and we're still going to plow through it because I know probably at least a dozen podcasts that have gone on hiatus, Doctor Who wise, while they're, waiting to find out what happens with the show. Not us. We're gluttons for punishment, as we like to say. So we're going to jump in right now, and we're going to start with the Modern Doctor's definitive episodes. And we're going to start with the 9th Doctor, Christopher Eccleston himself. And, he only had 1 season, folks. So this will be interesting to see which ones are picked and which ones are not. Alan, you're a guest, so you get to go first tonight.
Okay. Sounds good. So let me put forth my criteria for this whole thing that we are doing. It's kind of similar to what I kind of stuck to when we did our first part of this with the classic Doctors, but modified a little bit. So for this one, I stuck to only single episode stories. I didn't pick any 2-parters because I'm thinking if it's somebody that's like new to Who, it'll be easier for them to jump into a single episode. So no first or final episodes. So there's no regeneration stories in this. I wanted to get something that's definitively like this actor and these writers and the producer have solidly filtered into who this doctor is. I only picked things featuring the most identifiable companion for each doctor. So, like if they, like for Peter Davison, his last 2 episodes were with Perry. So I would not have picked Perry. In this case, I would not have picked like Bill, who was in Peter Capaldi's final season, even though I absolutely love her. That's not the most identifiable companion for him. No Dr. Light episodes and no multi-doctor episodes. So for my 9th Doctor pick, I went right in the middle of his season with Dalek. And I picked that for a couple of reasons. One, Eccleston is so settled into the role at this point and is playing the Doctor like he's been there for years. It's also a really, really good example of the approach that they were taking with the 9th Doctor, where they're trying to portray him as like a war survivor, like he's come through this trauma and now he's kind of like getting on with his life. And this story sort of revives that trauma. It's also the episode that reintroduces the Daleks to Doctor Who, and they do it by using a single Dalek. So you get this story where it's 2 survivors, the only 2 survivors of this war that we know of, that are kind of face to face with each other on opposite sides, and they're both dealing with the fallout of that war in very different ways. And it's a fascinating story. I think it's one of the better Dalek stories of the modern series. They make the Daleks not only look more solid, but they're portrayed more solidly. They're much more of a threat. They're shown to be military strategists in the highest rank. They are, I mean, it's just a great episode, and it's fast paced and great special effects. And the whole thing is just an excellent, excellent episode. So that was my pick, Dalek.
Good pick. Very, very good pick. Because the Dalek actually isn't even really the villain in the story.
Right.
And, the billionaire who in the story is more of the bad guy in this. And he got, what he deserved. And it was interesting, the look on Eccleston's face when he saw that it was a Dalek in that room, because he thought he was going to rescue some hurt alien or something. Mm-hmm. And as the eye stalk and the doctor says, "I'm the doctor," and you hear the voice, "Doctor," and it was just so amazing. And I loved it. It was a great, great story. And it was all the way around. It was just a great, great adventure for him. And agreed that the 9th Doctor, he was so comfortable in the role by that point.
Mm-hmm.
So, very cool.
Thanks.
Awesome. Good first pick. Mary.
I also chose Dalek, but
Woohoo.
I won't. I mean, you basically said what there's to be said about Dalek. By the way, I'm not nearly as disciplined as Alan, and I have no criteria other than these things stood out to me.
Mm-hmm.
But my backup was, because would not surprise me for people to choose Dalek, because it's a great episode and a great introduction to Christopher Eccleston and Doctor Who. But my backup was the 2-parter, The Empty Child, The Doctor Dances.
Yeah.
That was
originally my first pick, but then I went with my no 2-parters
with no
rule.
2-parters.
Yeah.
But
it is so good. It
But
is superb.
Yeah, it really is an amazing episode, a Stephen Moffat episode. And I find it very interesting that Doctor Who actually does body horror really well. I mean, it's like I love the horror eras of Doctor Who. I love Philip Hinchcliffe. I love how the Cybermen are one of the things that make them scary is that they are cyborgs. And just the creepy as hell child, but the doctor never losing that sense of empathy and understanding, and the way he figures out the mystery is very doctorish to me, and it shows Christopher Eccleston in command of his portrayal of the doctor. I mean, it's hard to imagine another fictional character walking through that story, and commanding it in the same way. It's something that it would be hard for that to work in another series, other than Doctor Who. It's such a Doctor Who episode, and that's why it's a defining moment for me, because
Yeah.
it's something that it screams Doctor Who. It's like an encapsulation of what Doctor Who is.
Oh,
Absolutely.
agreed completely. Agree. And it's interesting too. There's so many great moments in that storyline. And, from when the doctor walks into that nightclub asking if anybody had seen the little boy with the gas mask on, and then and then realizing that he's in the middle of the blitz, and, everybody's doing that. And it is just so good. And then you get the introduction of Captain Jack on top of that.
Yes,
And
our first
Mhm.
yep,
sighting of
our
Captain Jack in all his
your
glory.
exactly. And it was wonderful. It was just a great, because you didn't know in the story if Jack was a good guy or a bad guy, and until the end. And I just loved it.
They should have
So
kept him more morally ambiguous as the series went on.
agreed. So no, it was really good, and I love Rose with the Union Jack flag, and she was
Yes.
hanging through London on the balloon
Mhm.
and everything. It's like, hi, I've got a
Yeah.
target on my chest.
I mean, just to talk about the production, the effects in this episode are really good. The
Yes.
costuming is really good. The production values are really good. I mean, it is a high quality episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you get the line, just this once, Rose, everybody lives. And he's just
Hmm.
so happy about that.
Yeah, it's
Finally.
a declarative statement that I think defines his run here, and the difference between the first half of the season and the second half of the season, where he's just like, I'm over it. Everybody's gonna live. Like, I'm doing everything I can to be the doctor again. We don't know everything that he's gone through by this point, but and we do find out, glimpses. And I think Dalek is a great episode that does that probably better than any of the others this season. I almost wish there was more of that, and maybe there would have been had Chris
Yeah.
stayed on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think one of my big differences between my list and Alan's is that I think I only picked two-parters. So hey,
Fair
I
point,
love a
man.
good Doctor Who cliffhanger. What
Oh,
can I
me too.
say?
Me too.
Yes.
Let me tell you.
So I wish they did more of that. Like, that's one of my, I mean, I like the single episodes too. So there's some really great single episodes, but I did find myself looking at the two-parters and really
Yep.
focusing on the moments that I think define the doctor while he's there. And yes, the everybody lives moment is great. And there's a
Oh,
lot going on between, it's very British with the Blitz and everything. I mean, it just screams British. And you've got the introduction of Jack, and there's a lot of moving parts to this. Rose is great in this too. So there's a lot of things going on, and yet it never loses a sense that the doctor is the main character of this story, and he's the center of everything, and Eccleston owns it, and it's just and yeah, and it's the first foray from Moffat into regular continuity here, and it's a great one.
exactly. And it was awesome. I loved how he got out of the cliffhanger in the first after the first part, and he told all of the empty children, go to your room. It was, and he was like, I'm actually shocked that actually worked. I loved it. It was so good. It was so good.
My
And
my only problem with this is, and it's just one small insignificant moment, but if you're trying to get away from something and you're up on a rooftop and a rope just suddenly appears in front of you and you grab hold of it without looking up to see what it's attached to, is just stupid.
yeah,
That's the only thing. But other than that, it is a superb story.
It wasn't her
It's a lot like the
smartest.
horror
Yes,
movie
yes.
vibe, because it's like going upstairs when you hear a noise upstairs.
Yep.
It's
No,
the
that's
same.
awesome.
And it's nice that there's a through line of PTSD in this
Yeah.
first series, and
Yeah,
it
definitely.
appears in this episode also, the wartime theme, and
Yeah.
the line at the end about everybody lives.
Mhm.
And I one of the things I love about the Eccleston series is that they pretty much all hang together. I mean, they're different episodes, but there's a definite emotional through line, and they don't lose sight of that.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, totally makes sense. Very cool pick, Mary. All right, Melanie.
Mine was Boomtown.
Wow.
And a big reason for that, it's more of a personal thing than anything. When I first tried to get back into Doctor Who, everyone's, telling me, start at the beginning. And there's the Slitheen, there's the Slitheen, and they're farting. And I just didn't care for fart humor. I'm like,
Nope.
this is
That almost made
stupid.
me off of Doctor Who completely.
It did.
It was
I'm
so
like,
bad.
I'm like, why am I watching this? This is not. This isn't
Yeah.
for me. This is not.
Yep.
And everybody and everybody that I knew was just like, Melanie, no, you just get through it. Just get through it. Get through it. So I kept going, and then then when I have Dalek, and this is bloody brilliant. Boomtown also for me kind of gave me that hope, or that not retribution, the word it's gone from my brain, with Margaret all of a sudden giving up. We see her again, the Slitheen again, and I'm going, oh no, not this again. And they kind of have fun with the slapsticky kind of the beginning of her running and them running after her, and then this little temporal kind of thing where they keep catching her. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna do it's slapsticky again. But then that scene between the Ninth Doctor and Margaret at the dinner,
Wonderful
where they're
scene.
just
Wonderful scene.
Yeah.
And for me, that made me go, it showed off how amazing an actress Annette Badland is.
Yeah.
Where, I get now, I realized, oh, okay, yeah, they were being campy and farty and blah, 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 blah. But then showing this character and just showing her acting chops, showing that the depth of the character themselves, they're trying to be the last one, they're the last one, they're trying to get off the planet, blah, blah, blah. That was just absolutely amazing. And again, the ending had a bit of more of that hope of, she looked into the TARDIS, she became a little fuzzy egg looking thing. She's gonna get another chance. But honestly, that dinner scene was so good, because that showed me how much the Doctor and her, they're playing chess, and they're poking at each other, and they're being strategic, and they're testing one another, but they're also showcasing we're both very conniving and powerful, and we're very thoughtful. And I mean, it's a beauty to watch. So mine's going to be Boomtown.
Awesome.
Good.
Awesome. Good pick. I just love that episode. There's, like you said, it's chess. We get introduced to Cardiff for the first time, and the whole thing with the rift there. So to refuel the TARDIS, and that all leads into everything with Torchwood. And so, it sets up so much. And I love Team TARDIS in this episode and everything. So
because in the beginning, all four of them are at the table and they're just having fun, and you just see them laughing and bonding. So it's something where they're just having fun, and you can see, okay, they're actually a team. This is really cool.
Exactly. And he's still Mickey the idiot, so it's perfect. So
he's along for the ride. So,
exactly. There we go. All right, Mikey, what do you got?
Well, yeah, my pick was my first pick, of course, is Empty Child and Dr. Dances, but uh, a runner-up, a really strong runner-up, that it's not a two-parter for me, is Father's Day.
Good story. Great
Father's
story.
Day is a very small story, but it's one that has, because it's Doctor Who, has big implications. I don't know if they ever really pay off on these, but because I don't think do we ever see the Reapers again? I don't know,
No.
but
No.
I
No,
don't think
in
so.
in the comics you did, but you don't see them in the TV.
yeah, but
Yeah, they kind of.
but it's got that, that gut punch that especially time travel stories do so well. Science fiction stories, thinking of, the end of City on the Edge of Forever from Star Trek. You've got a very similar thing here where it's like, you can't change time. You cannot change time. These things that happen, and you have to, again, we're going with the trauma scene. You have to work through them, and you have to deal with them. And it's a very emotional episode. Maybe one of the most, singularly emotional episodes that they've done ever, because it's so personal. But it's just great, and written by Paul Cornell, who may or may not be. I bet you be talking about it later in this show. But yeah, I just think this one was very strong, and it's unfortunate because, yeah, the only thing that really kind of hurts is because the Reapers do they don't age well in terms of special effects, but and the concept is interesting, but they never do anything else with it, and it's kind of unfortunate because there's been a lot of times since then in Doctor Who where something will happen, you'd be like, well, where are the Reapers? Like, shouldn't we see Reapers now? And you don't. And so that they don't really follow through with the concept very well, but that doesn't hurt, I think, this story as a whole.
Gotcha. No, it's a great, great story. No, the effects of the Reapers aren't that great, but I love how, one instance can literally wipe the world out if you make one change to it. And it's pretty awesome how, basically Rose trying to save her dad and, push him out of the way of the car that hit him and took him out. And, literally, because, the mother built him up as a bigger than life person, and she got to actually see the real person. And that often happens. And, when somebody passes, you try to only remember the good things and such, but you also get to now see all the bad things and the warts and, everything like that. And so it was real interesting, and it was very well done. So nice pick. My pick, I'm going all the way back to the very first one. We're doing Rose. I think it's a great intro for new Doctor Who. And, you don't have to have watched any of the classic series to pick it up then. A lot of people, when they say, where should I pick up Doctor Who? And I said, if you have the time, go back to the beginning of the new series and watch the very first episode. And you get a brand new doctor, you get a brand new companion, you get a good jumping on point, and you do have a classic villain, which is interesting because you get the Autons. And it's interesting because, it was neat to see a modern take of them. And I think we only got the Autons one other time in the 11th Doctor era, pretty much, after this. So I liked that we got to see, mostly from Rose's point of view, running into this person who's lurking in the basement, and, he's going to blow up the department store where she's working. And, hi, I'm the doctor. Oh, by the way, run, great intro for him. And it's all from there. And, it's just a great story. And it's a great jumping on point for anybody who is into, sci-fi or wants to learn about Doctor Who. And, the seasons weren't, I tell people the seasons aren't that long, and most of the stories are self-contained. And so you can watch these and you could power through, a weekend if you wanted to, at least get through the David Tennant era and everything through it, when you go do that. So it's pretty awesome. And, I loved Eccleston as the doctor. And yes, I did enjoy Rose in this. And, so, I loved
It went all
Rose.
downhill from here for him.
For him.
Well, after the season, yes, but I loved her in the season because I think her and Chris just had amazing chemistry, and thank goodness we're getting to see that again on Big Finish and listening to it. And so I think it's pretty awesome. So definitely pretty cool. All right, any honorable mentions before we go on to number 10?
They already left.
Yeah.
Right.
Covered a lot of it.
Yeah, no, good point. I love the episode where they did the takeoff of all the game shows on the satellite,
Yeah.
and that was just a great episode. And that was the two-part final, and that was such a great story. But I also liked the Simon Pegg episode where he was the editor, and snap your fingers and you have a little window in your head open up and you get everything beamed directly to your brain. It was fun. So there's a lot to enjoy in the Ninth Doctor era. Okay, Doctor 10. Let's jump in. Melanie, you get to go first.
My prop.
Uh-oh.
It's Partners in Crime.
Aha.
My little adipose. I absolutely adore this episode because it has that it's the scene between him and Donna, and they're just doing the whole miming piece. It's so vaudevillian. It's so it's everything for me. I don't mind Tennant and Rose, unlike some people on this podcast.
Yeah.
But I'm that type of person that I really don't like a lot of romance in my stuff. So this one, I always thought 10 did the best with Donna. That there wasn't that romance, there wasn't that tension. I didn't need it. I didn't want it. I just wanted comedy. And I love the familial kind of brother sister vibe that the two of them had. And her coming back after Runaway Bride, having this hit the from the floor, hitting she gets to be comedic. So that's Tate's wheelhouse, and they're gonna have the drama bits, the dramatic bits, and all that kind of fun stuff. But yeah, I love Partners in Crime. Absolutely adore this one.
That is awesome. It's interesting with this one because when they announced that she was going to be the new companion, I was no, I don't want it. I didn't, because after Runaway Bride, I didn't like her. I really didn't like the character of Donna. And so, I love Catherine Tate as an actress, but I didn't like her role. And when they announced it, I was just like, no. I don't want that. But when they had that scene with them miming at each other through the windows, she won me over. That whole episode won me over and she became my favorite companion of that era. So it was pretty amazing that we got that. And it's just, watching your fat just walk away is always a good little line. It was just awesome.
I'll say I really did appreciate that they set the ground rules of what the dynamic of the doctor companion relationship was going to be in this episode in the very beginning, after having Rose and 10, and then having justice for Martha always pining after the unrequited love of 10, and at this one from the jump they're like, yeah, we're not doing that. And I was like, thank you. But go ahead, Mikey, sorry.
Yeah,
no, I was going to say, even before they meet up eventually, because I like you, Mike, I think we might have even talked about it back in the day, but I was not happy with that character either, so I was kind of concerned. But I think right within the first few minutes of this episode, if I'm not mistaken, is when she's talking to her grandpa, right? And she's like saying like, and you can tell she's grown as a character. You could tell she's different from the experiences she's had with the doctor, and I think right from that moment, I was kind of like, okay, this is not going to be so bad. And then yes, the actual plot and everything of the show is not maybe one of my favorites, but the interplay between the two of them is great, is wonderful, and it sets the tone, like you guys said, for the rest of that season, which is pretty awesome too.
I was just going to say that when the first time Catherine Tate came to Dragon Con, I was kind of assigned to interview her. And I had this whole thing worked out in my head that I was going to propose to her, that I was going to be like, let's like start like just off stage across from each other and we'll do the miming thing. And then then when she got there, she's like, oh, I don't do interviews. I just come out to the stage and talk to myself. So I'm like, oh, so I guess I won't be interviewing you then. But anyway, I thought the miming thing would be super fun if we had done that to like introduce the Q&A. Anyway, that's
okay. No, very cool. All right, Mike G, you're up.
Yeah, the 10th Doctor. Man, there's a lot of tough choices here, right? Because David was there for a minute.
He was.
And
it's almost like he doesn't want to leave.
Exactly right.
Hey, guess what? He's going to be back for another minute later on.
Yep.
Look, it's no secret if you listen to this podcast, because I've said it many, many, many times. My favorite David story, my favorite maybe story in almost all of Doctor Who is Human Nature, Family of Blood. It's amazing to me because I was not familiar with Paul Cornell's book prior to watching this. So obviously it was really interesting to me to think of another Doctor being in this role, because David really owns this in a way that I didn't feel like anybody else could. What he goes through here, but to read the book, it's even more of a great experience. And yes, it is interesting. It's always interesting to kind of picture other Doctors in these stories sometimes, because they could be very different, but the end result could be very similar as well, you think, because they are, the same being after all. But what I love about Human Nature and Family Blood, again, it takes place at a very, the cast is great. The foe is threatening. The family is full of creepiness in this. So I know Mary must have enjoyed it.
I did. It's one of my favorite episodes too.
But the fact that the Doctor goes through what he does, and the reason that he goes through what he does, is to actively save the lives of some beings that are absolutely reprehensibly evil. But he goes through all of this in order to spare them and try to give them a chance, I think is really a defining moment of who the Doctor is that we've seen before. But it's nice to be reminded, especially to what extremes that he will go through in order to maintain this way of being. And it's not something that another fictional character would do. Like, it's just like not like just kill him and get it over with, right? And the reason that I think, like I said, David is like the perfect actor to play this particular role here is that he just, in a lot of ways, he seems like he's the most human of some of the actors who've played the Doctor. So it's very, very real in that sense. He brings a real human element to it. And look, I love Jessica Hines, so the fact that she's in this too is amazing. So yeah, it's a no-brainer for me. As far as, I mean, there's others that are honorable mentions I consider, but it's a no-brainer for me. This is one of my most favorite episodes of Doctor Who ever. Stories, I should say, because it's a two-parter.
Yeah.
No, very much so. And it's interesting because literally, like you said, Mike, he is protecting that vile family from him.
Yeah.
And what he does to them at the very end is chilling completely. And it's just, and his interactions with Martha and his interactions with, all the different characters is just amazing. David just ate up every scene in this storyline, and it was just great.
Yeah, it's a common through line that we see with David's Doctor, that he will get to that point where he can be like almost evil himself. Like he is like, right from, his second appearance in the New Earth story, where he says like, you want to take it to a higher authority, there is none. Like it starts with me, he's brought to that point even in what Runaway Bride. He's brought to that point, right? He doesn't want to go there, and we see in this episode, in this storyline in particular, how much he doesn't want to go to that point, but yet certain beings just continue to push those buttons.
Mhm. And it's interesting because you haven't seen the Doctor that vicious in any other, since then, even really, with any of the other Doctors. You've seen him do things to people, but not to the extent.
Yeah, he
like
comes close in Runaway Bride.
he does, but that was before,
I
you
mean,
know.
yeah,
So it
that's
was
true. That's true.
yeah. And so it was interesting, and to see that. No, I love that storyline, and the book is just as good. So if you
Yeah,
get
the
a
book is
chance,
good. If people haven't read the book, read the book. If you think
Yeah.
you know this story, read the book, because it's different, but it's just as solid.
yeah, and it's also with the Seventh Doctor, so it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, which makes it interesting. I mean, that was one of the
Yeah,
few times where I watched a TV program and I'm like, oh, I need to read the book.
yeah,
And the book is I wouldn't say one is better than the other, but they're
Mhm.
different,
Mhm.
and
hmm
it's a good difference. They each exist well in their own reality.
hmm
They both work.
yep. Any final comments on that one?
It's good.
It's awesome.
It's
Yeah,
yes,
it is good.
it is good. Yes. All right, Mary, you're up.
All right, this is actually an interesting one to piggyback on that as far as what's happening with the Doctor emotionally. I chose Water of Mars, which I
Mm.
Oh,
know,
good
Good one.
one.
yeah, and Water of Mars is a bit of a controversial episode, though. Never really
On
understood why.
so many different ways.
Yeah, but it's another body horror one, so I'm gonna like it. But it's the whole and this also it's a good culmination of what's been happening with Tennant's Doctor throughout his whole series is that he's getting more and more arrogant, less and less likely to listen to his companions. And when he's running around with no companion, he's really going off the rails. And he's decided he's going to play God.
hmm
And just the whole idea of the consequences of that, of how he is so determined to save Adelaide, who, by the way, Lindsay Duncan, which does an awesome job playing Adelaide against him. I mean, she is just as strong as an actor as he is. And I mean, their scenes together just really spark. And her anger at the end when I mean, he's decided she's going to live no matter what. He does not care at all about the consequences. It's gone past uh it, I'm trying to save somebody into I'm going to flex my power and damn, what the universe is telling me to do. And so just for Lindsay Duncan's Adelaide to just completely subvert that and say, okay, walk into her house and then kill herself
hmm
because she knows she needs to preserve the timeline in order for this much more glowing future to happen.
hmm
And for her granddaughter to become the person she needs to be, it's devastating, it's heartbreaking, but and the way Tennant plays it is just including where at the end he's still like, I have not learned my lesson yet. You know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just kind of forget this happened and keep soldiering on and pretending that my death is not coming. And let's face it, I mean, that's still very relevant today for certain people who are living in denial. and thinking they can play God and damn the consequences. And I mean, I love that about Doctor Who because so many of these episodes are still very relevant for what's going on in the world today. And this one, I think, was especially telling. And just the acting is so good in this.
Oh, there was points in this storyline I felt like David could have easily slipped into the Valyard or the Master.
Yeah, he's heading that way.
Yeah, very much so. So it was very interesting to see. And yes, I did say the V word, folks. So, so
He's the Ronnie.
Exactly. He's the Ronnie. That's it. So it's interesting to see. But yeah, it was a great story. And the makeup for when the people got taken over was just awesome.
Yeah, once again, really good effects. The water effect is good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just when Doctor Who is good, it's really good.
Oh yeah, very much so. Awesome. Any final thoughts?
It's good.
It's good.
It's good.
Yippee good.
All right, Alan, what do you got?
I have sort of toward the beginning of Mr. Tennant's run, his 4th episode, Girl in the Fireplace. And I picked that for a whole list of reasons.
That's the one I had too. So yeah.
Okay. Well, for me, it is the absolute perfect introduction to Doctor Who for somebody who knows nothing about Doctor Who, because it tells you everything that the series does. So it is set both in the future and in the past. It uses time as a very, very clever story mechanic. It has a really unique and super interesting, not a villain, but a threat with the clockwork droids. It covers all the genres that Doctor Who does. There's elements of comedy, romance, drama, horror, and it's got 2 companions. One that's been around the block, so she's like a very established companion, and another one that this is his first time in the TARDIS. So you see the companion role from both perspectives in the same episode. And Mary earlier mentioned Doctor Who doing so well with body horror. And I think a lot of times that is true. I think that for the only thing that I dock Fireplace for is that I think the elements are just ever so slightly out of balance. I feel like it leans too heavily onto the romance angle. And the horror elements are really minimal and sort of like mostly done just in dialogue, where the ship has or the robots have cannibalized the human crew to repair parts on the ship. And so you've got a camera that's a human eye, and the engine that's a heart. And that could have been a little more for my taste and a little less on the romance. But aside from that, it is an absolutely brilliant script. And it's it's the only Moffat that I have on my list, because I tried to spread it around a bit. So it's a Stephen Moffat. I think it's one of Stephen's best scripts for the show. And it's in a 45-minute thing. It's a Doctor Who 101. You can like check off the list. This is what Doctor Who does at various times, and it's history. So that's my pick.
That is awesome. I just love in that the story of, Madame Pompadour was just wonderful. And she was such a sympathetic character that connected so well with the 10th Doctor in that story. And there was just so many scenes. And then not just the body horror of them building the humans into the ship to fix it, but you also had the Clockwork Men, which were beautiful. They were truly beautiful. And then I love the scene where Tennant is on the horse and comes out of the mirror. And it is just so wonderful. And then when he decides that he wants to go back and take her out of time and bring her onto the TARDIS to save her, and realizes she's gone already by that point, was heartbreaking. It was just such a great story. So good pick,
Yeah.
Alan. Very good
Yeah,
pick.
it's very Alice in Wonderland to me,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
not
Mhm.
Alice in Wonderland from a kid's point of view.
No.
Right.
But the absurdity and the melancholy and
Right.
the adult themes
Yes.
that are overlaying everything, and just
One
so
of
well
my
done.
one of my favorite 10th Doctor moments is for his whole run is he first sees the clockwork droids and he's like looking at it and admiring it. He's like, "Oh my gosh, you are beautiful. This is like craft work. This is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. It would be a crime to dismantle you, but that won't stop me."
Yeah, that is awesome. All right, my pick real quick is going back into the Dr. Donna era, and I'm doing the two-parter Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead.
Such a good one.
Oh, it is such a great, great story. And you, of course, get introduced to River Song for the first time in this storyline. And you also lose River Song again in the storyline. But it was interesting because it was the first time in Doctor Who where you got to meet one of the Doctor's companions before the Doctor actually meets her, and out of order. And it was really well done. And I just loved the story, the Doctor and Donna coming to the planet that is a whole library, and the whole thing with the Vashanarada as the bad guys. And they're not really even bad, but, they have taken over the planet because they're carnivores and they eat what's in the shadows. And it was just wonderful. And the whole, things with them getting into the space suits and, hey, who turned out the lights? And the whole then alternate story of what's happening inside the computer, and that whole story, and Donna being taken in there and having, her dream life of, falling in love and having a kid. And it was just so very well done. And it laid so much groundwork for so much of what was to come with Dr. 11 mostly, and part of 12. So it was great for this because there was a lot of foreshadowing. And I love it, when River whispers the Doctor's name into his ear, and how do you know that, type thing. Only a certain amount of people know that, and it's like, are we? Yes. And I just, the interaction between Alex Kingston and David Tennant was just amazing. And Alex is, I love how, with all the doctors she's worked with, it's always been great. And and I think, I would love to have seen her as a full-time companion, but I like what they did with her. So it's one of my favorite stories. That's one I can keep on watching over and over again. It's just that good of a story. And, even her sacrificing herself at the end to save the Doctor because she knows what's to come with him. So.
And there's a lot of things going on underneath the surface. I mean, it's one of those episodes that really rewards you on a rewatch because you keep catching little things every
very
single
much so.
time you watch it.
How many times, it took like 2 or 3 times of watching it to realize how many shadows some of the people had and everything. And it's like, wait a minute, you have 2 shadows. Uh-oh. And, and it's funny because how many people have joked about it, that the skeletons in the spacesuit are Scooby-Doo villains also. So it's pretty cool. So that was my pick for the 10th Doctor. So, and, I had, of course, Girl in the Fireplace as my first pick, but this was a very close second. So very cool. All right. We're on. We've made it through 2 Doctors, folks. We've made it through 2.
Only 5 hours to go.
Exactly. So we'll speed up a little bit. Let's go on 11th Doctor, Matt Smith. And we'll go with Mary first.
Well, this works out well because, of course, since you chose Silence in the Library, I chose Time of Angels, Flesh and Stone,
Oh, wow.
which
Interesting.
is one of my favorite episodes of all time in Doctor Who. Um, but the thing, the part that really stands out to me is the cliffhanger because it amazes me that this is the first episode they shot with Matt
Hmm.
Smith
Mm-hmm.
because the chemistry between all of them, the performances, the production values, everything is so on point. Um, and just a great strong story. And then that doctor moment that just so solidifies Matt Smith, where he's standing there and he's going, there is one thing you never, ever put in a trap, me. And he shoots the gravity globe. And that's the
Oh my!
cliffhanger. And
I
I'm like, oh my
remember.
God.
I remember how much crap that show was getting for the doctor doesn't shoot a gun, and
Oh
it's like,
yeah, that was
yes,
so
he
stupid. I
does.
hate to tell you this, people, go watch Classic Who.
Exactly, quite a
He
bit.
picks up rocks too, so
Exactly. So
I
yeah,
mean,
that was such a good one, God, and it made the angels even scarier, especially Angel Bob. And
yes,
oh, that was just
because the
yeah,
whole idea of that dichotomy where you have the poor young, lieutenant, I think he was, who becomes Angel Bob or gets taken over
exactly.
by Angel Bob, and it's just, I mean, that is horror at its finest because it's subverting, and Moffat is really good at this, subverting everyday things like
Or they
shadows or statues,
or now video, because if you have an image
video.
of an angel, it
Right.
becomes an angel. And poor Amy being stuck in the spaceship with the video and the angel coming out of the video and everything.
And it
That
being
was
in her
just
eye, the whole idea
yeah,
of the sand in her eye.
yep.
It's and having to sit there blind. I
Hmm.
mean, or even the smaller moments, not even call it a small moment, where Matt Smith is doctor is talking to Father Octavian, and we know, everybody knows, including the two characters, that he's going to die. He's
Hmm.
about to sacrifice himself, and there is no way out of it.
Yep.
And the doctor has not been thrilled with that character up until that point, and he gains a lot of respect and a lot of understanding at that point. And it's just a beautiful little small emotional moment that, and they both really sell it. The performances in here are just excellent.
Yep. I don't disagree with that. And it's interesting too, because you get so many little threads. You get the whole thing now with the doctor out of time in this story for the first point. Because you get to see him talking to Amy and he's wearing his jacket, where the scene before he left his jacket behind.
Right,
And
right. And
then
I remember
that
that being such a big thing. It's continuity problem. No,
no,
the
they
one
knew
thing
it.
that Moffat actually wraps up.
Exactly. And then you also had the whole thing with the crack in this episode, because this is where you started really getting it. And it was just really, really interesting stuff. And then the whole thing, what is River in prison for? Oh, she killed a great man. And it's like everyone was guessing, and everyone's like, oh, she kills the doctor, or something,
Just
it's so
laying all this great groundwork.
Oh, so much. And Moffat was great at that, at the beginning. So very cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy, let's face it,
Well,
it kind
Mike,
of fell
Mike,
off at the end there,
Mike
but
just backed up the bus
yeah.
and ran him over.
Damn straight, my friends. Damn straight. All right. Let's go with Mike G.
So this was tough too. I mean, Matt was great, and Mary, that two-parter was definitely on my list, and it almost made my top of definitive ones, but because I just think it's brilliant, and it's just like you said, it's hard for me to believe that this is Matt's first outing as the Doctor, because he owns it right from the beginning. Like it's amazing. But I was looking as I was looking through, I was like, there's an episode a story that I keep coming to over and over and over again. And again, we've mentioned a few times where I don't think personally anybody has ever done better time travel stories with the Doctor than Stephen Moffat has. I mean, he is just like it was just a tool that they used to travel with before Moffat came along. And then all of a sudden it was opening the door to all sorts of different stories you could tell. And we didn't mention Blink for the David Tennant one, but man, that one obviously is pretty strong as well. But for me, in order for him to take that aspect of Doctor Who, time travel, and to apply it to one of my favorite novels of all time, Christmas Carol, in A Christmas Carol, to me is just so beautifully done. Unfortunately, the Dickens novel and most of the adaptations of it, especially in this day and age, the one thing that kind of is hard to swallow is after Scrooge goes through all that, you're like, oh yeah, he's really going to just shift 180 and be like, Christmas, I'm a good person now. Like, we just know it doesn't happen this way, right? I love the way Steven's answer is like, what if we went back in time and made him kinder? With each visit to the past. And it's a wonderful way to tell this story with Michael Gambon is a wonderful actor to play the Scrooge character with. Katherine Jenkins is amazing in this too. I can't believe that she hasn't gone on to like win all sorts of BAFTAs and acting awards because I'm like, she's great in this. And obviously, she's got that singing career. So, but some of the stuff with, Rory and Amy are just kind of dopey and that's fun. But really the main crux of this story is all about the Doctor playing ghosts of Christmas pasts with the Scrooge character, and I think it's one of the definitive episodes of this season or this show with Matt in particular. But I also think it's probably the best Christmas episode that they've ever done. And after this, they should have just stopped doing Christmas episodes because I mean, so many times they use it as a gimmick, and here it really, really is used, I think, to the best that it's ever going to be used. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think maybe it helps that it becomes the central core of the story and not just like tacked on.
Right.
No, agreed.
That was so smart of Moffat to do it that way.
And I love how Amy and Rory are in their little outfits for their honeymoon on the cruise.
That's what Mike remembers.
Well, I remember a lot about this one. This one is just, I think I agree with what you said. They should have stopped with the Christmas stories after this because it is it is my favorite.
They should never have started with the Christmas stories. That's not
there you go, Alan.
Alan's not a fan of the Christmas stories.
I am not, but I do love this one.
Yeah,
it is just amazing. I mean, anytime that you've got fish that swim around in the clouds, I'm in.
Flying sharks is wonderful.
A little bit of Douglas Adams influence there, I think. Like a nice little touch there, I think. So, yeah.
Yep. And it was just really well done, and it was fun. And that's what I loved about the storylines and a lot of the Christmas specials. They should be fun. It's a holiday joyous thing. And I loved all the little subplots, how the Doctor got married to Marilyn Monroe and but you don't talk about that. And it was great. And his interactions with, Michael Gambon's younger self and as he got older and everything, it was just wonderful because he was trying to show him what was good in life, and he changed him so much that his own father, didn't approve of him, and he didn't give him the permissions to fix the skies and everything. And it was just really well done with it. So, kind of fun there. Good choice, Mikey. All right, Ellen, what do you got?
Well, I hate to go this obvious and this cliche, but it's Vincent and the Doctor.
Oh yeah.
And partly because I was a music history major, but I was almost like a minor in art history because I took so many art history classes. And I mean, it's just I worked at the High Museum for 4 years, and I'm just very into the whole like museum culture. So basing a story around this tragic artist and letting him see, and it's what I was worried about going into this was that there was going to be some like sci-fi reason why Vincent is the way that he is, that he goes through these depressions and all this kind of stuff, and that there was going to be some fix for that. And that wasn't the case. And then when they took him to see his future and to see his legacy as it lives on, and come to the end of the episode, and that did not have the impact on his life. He still had the same outcome that he did. And I thought that was really, really smartly written. And the performances were amazing. Okay, the monster wasn't that great, but it didn't have to be great. It's not the point of the episode. The
Mm-mm.
point of the episode is getting the Doctor and Amy to encounter Vincent and see what impact that has or doesn't have on Vincent's life. And I think it's an incredibly beautiful episode. So that's mine.
No, it is a beautiful
Great
episode.
pick. Yeah.
You don't need a monster in this story. The villain in it is Vincent's mental illness, and it is just shows how you know how he had to live with it, and one minute he could be right as rain, and then the next second, you know his he went off the deep end, and it was just amazing, the story and the scenery, and they did a good job at making Croatia look a lot like you know Eastern, Western Europe, and it was just really nicely done. And I just thought the story, and then the end scene when they took Vincent into the future to the museum, oh, I was in tears when the first time I saw that. And that was just awesome. So good pick. Great pick. And if you have any interest in his artwork or anything, this is just finding out about the artist. This is just wonderful. And, it's just one of my favorite stories ever. And, definitely we've recommended it many, many times on the show. Awesome pick, Alan. All right, Mel, what do you got?
I don't have to say anything. Alan done said everything.
Okay.
Word for freaking word. Because I was going to say how it's cliche. The only thing I was going to add to it is it's that last scene is the only thing I had seen of Doctor Who, and it made me bawl like a baby.
Yeah.
Because a friend of mine knew I was an art history major, and that I was a docent at the Chihuly Museum. I was a docent at the Fine
That's
Arts
amazing.
Museum.
Yeah.
I'm a member of the Museum Store Association now, because museums, and that's just, it's carried on through my career. So that episode, I only saw that one part in YouTube. Okay, I'm gonna have to watch that. Then I watched the whole episode, and then made me go into Doctor Who, which then again, like I've said, farting monsters. I'm like, y'all, I can't do this. But then it was the gravity of that one justice for Vincent, and that the fact that I'm just piggybacking off of Alan now, that they did not change his history. It's too tragically beautiful the way it is, and that they didn't cure him, but they made it so that he could see the majesty of what he became. Because when you go down the rabbit hole of how important all the things that he poured out in his letters to Theo, his brother, and just having this thing where you're able to listen to the breathtakingly amazing Bill Nighy do a monologue and just talk about this. And you have the actor who, now my brain's not working, just listening to it and internalizing. Yeah, I'm gonna start crying again now.
It's Tony
Yeah,
Curran.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, because I've been following him and Scotland has been running around here for the World Cup before. But yeah, this episode is absolutely amazing, and just it visually there it's with her just sitting there with the sunflowers on that little, like, pick that little table, and just visually the DP of this did so many different shots that just it was just balanced beautifully. Yeah, I can go. But yeah, the chicken monster I don't care about. It's there, it's fine, blah blah blah.
They did shots that they did shots that reflected actual paintings.
Yep.
Like they framed things to be that was so well done.
Yeah. So I mean, this was just a love letter to Vincent. So
Amy in the sunflower field or the cafe, it was so staged beautifully. It was wonderful. All right.
Same thing.
Awesome. All right. My pick is going to do The Doctor's Wife. I love that story. It is beautiful. I know Neil Gaiman is not the most popular person in the world right now, but he wrote a hell of a great Doctor Who story. And I really enjoyed this one. Saran Jones as the TARDIS was fantastic. And you had Michael Sheen as the voice of what was it, House? And it was great. It was an awesome story. You got to see the Doctor actually meet the TARDIS in person and have discussions with it. And one of the best lines, I might have not always taken you where you wanted to go, but I've taken you to where you needed to go. And it was just so, because it's always been one of the running storylines on Doctor Who, it's almost since the beginning, is the TARDIS, sentient and, being able to, for people to know what's going on around it. And it was just such a great story. My only weak point on the story is what happened with Rory and Amy in this one, being stuck in the corridors of the TARDIS. And you got to see Rory die for the 51st time or something. I think this is when Rory became the Kenny of Doctor Who. And it was, I enjoyed this one a lot. And it was the interaction, I would have loved to see more with Saran Jones, as a character. I love that we got to see a previous TARDIS desktop. And I just thought it was fun. And it's one of my favorite, but during the Matt Smith era, there are just so many episodes that we could have easily talking about and picked as my pick. I had the 11th Hour, the First Doctor story. I had, the Pandorica opens and the Big Bang. I had, I also had, A Good Man Goes to War, and and there's just so many in there that
Let's Kill Hitler.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Exactly. And
I came this close to saying Day of the Doctor.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, for two doctors.
Yeah, exactly.
right.
The 50th anniversary special was wonderful. And, this is just such a great era of Doctor Who. I loved the Western story that they did. And it was, and this is an era, I think the last season, and we've said this on the show before, I really think the last season they went out of order. I think the Doctor already knew what happened to Rory and Amy, and he was just going back and visiting with them, during it. And I just, I think he already knew that the angels had taken him and he couldn't rescue them from that point. So he went to an earlier point to have further adventures with them. And the way he was looking at them, you know, you had dinosaurs on a spaceship. It was just, there's just so much fun stuff. And, you know, then you got the whole thing on who killed the doctor, you know, type thing. And that whole season. And you got introduced to the silence. And it was just, there was just so much greatness in that one, this season. And so, yeah.
Just a little while ago, we talked about the girl waited.
Yep.
That, I mean, and Matt is just,
Yeah.
He's amazing.
every time I look back on him now, especially just now, I mean, I'm in the middle of watching the final season of House of Dragons, and I'm like, that guy is incredible. And yeah, he's just so fun to watch. Whenever I go back and watch any of these, he's just so much fun to watch. Even in the ones that are not great, he's great in them.
Yep. No, agreed. There's just so many. It's like I could still keep on listing more and more stories, and I don't want to, you know, take up more of the people at home's time than we need to.
Well, we've still got like 3 more doctors to go through, right?
Exactly.
A 4, 3, 4. What are we on?
4-ish.
4-ish.
4 asterisk.
Yeah. All right, we're on to the 12th Doctor, folks, and I'm going to go first this time, and I'm going to pick for my 12th Doctor story, of course, probably a lot of folks have this one, Heaven Sent. And Heaven Sent is such a great story because it is literally Peter Capaldi pretty much all by himself for the full hour. And he is eating up every scene over and over again. And this is a doctor stuck in a castle. He doesn't have a clue what is going on. And we don't know how many thousands or millions of years he's been doing this, but he's been doing it quite a long time. And he, you know, he is almost like in purgatory for this episode, and he has to figure out what he is doing with the story and how he got into it, because he was on his way to Gallifrey to confront the Time Lords after Clara had been quote unquote killed the episode before. And it was interesting to see him, you know, figure out what he is, where is he stuck in, what is he doing, and trying to find his way out. And seeing Capaldi act in every scene was just amazing in this one, and not having anyone to play off of it. This one could easily be a one-man show, like a play. I could see them taking this one to stage. I think it would be pretty amazing to see if they did that and such, or if somebody one day would do that at a con or something. I think would be pretty cool. So, nope, that's my pick.
It's a good one.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Alan, you're next.
Okay. I had to break one of my rules
Aha.
because my favorite season of Modern Who is Series 9, which is basically all two-parters.
Yep.
So I was thinking of something from Capaldi's first season, and there are some good ones in the first season, but there's nothing that compares to Series 9, which I think is just incredible from start to finish. So I'm going to go with an unexpected one. I almost went with the Zygon two-parter, but I am going to go with the Under the Lake two-parter because I think that story is incredible. I think it's one of the best ones from that season. It's kind of, it's not, the first story is the Daleks and Missy, and it's big and it's over the top. And then you get the Zygons and you get, like the world is going to go to war and all this kind of stuff. And the Under the Lake two-parter kind of sits in the middle of those two things kind of quietly and tells a really, really great story in a more subtle way. And I think it's incredibly beautiful. I think it's really well done. You get some amazing Doctor moments. The first series that they did together, Clara, they focused so much on Clara having to get back home for her job or to go on a date with Danny, and whether she was lying to Danny and all this. I was like, oh my God, we please get on with this? And series 9 is basically just the two of them running around the universe having adventures, which is classic Doctor Who for me. And that's what I want out of my Doctor Who. So series 9 is the definitive modern series season for me. And Under the Lake has got so many great moments, and it's such an interesting story. And it's one of the reasons I love series 9 so much is because since it's all two-parters, you get lots of cliffhangers. And I just freaking love a Doctor Who cliffhanger. But the cliffhanger that we get at the end of the first episode of this one, Under the Lake, where the Doctor becomes one of the ghost figures, is so great. And then you get lots of interesting moments throughout it. Like there's this moment, like one of the characters is deaf, and she is kind of like walking through the hallways, trying to like not get caught by the ghost characters. Meanwhile, there's a ghost behind her who is dragging this axe like he's gonna kill her or something, and it's like scraping on the floor and it causes sparks and all this kind of stuff. But because she's deaf, she doesn't hear that, and so it's this silent thing. Oh my God, it's such a great creepy episode. So that's mine.
Awesome.
Good
All right.
pick.
That's a good pick. Really good pick. And I loved it when you saw the Doctor as the ghost at the end of the first part. It was just like, uh-oh. All right. Mike, what do you got?
I'm going to piggyback off that too, because I did go with the two-parter Zygon Invasion,
Yeah.
Zygon Inversion.
It's amazing.
Because it is, first of all, I love the Zygons, the Terror of the Zygons 75. I don't know, it was so long ago that we picked our definitive episodes for the Fourth Doctor, but I can't imagine that I didn't mention Terror of the Zygons at some point, because I do love that story a lot. And of course, it was nice to see them in kind of a joking way in Day of the Doctor. But here, I mean, they're just used, I think, the best way they could. I also love it because it's probably my favorite unit story in the modern era. I don't know if unit's been used before or since then, at least in the modern era, because this reminds me of a classic unit story.
Yeah.
And more than any of the other unit appearances, and for the longest time they couldn't decide between let's have unit, let's have Torchwood, and it was just like interchangeable or whatever. But this is really the military organization unit. Gemma Redgrave again owns it. She's great as Kate Stewart, and here, following her, like I can imagine if this was a Third Doctor story, that the Brigadier would be doing a lot of the same things that she's doing, and it's amazing. The stuff with Clara and everything is good too. I think the cliffhanger is pretty solid. Of course, the appearance of Osgood twice. We get two Osgoods, so that's twice the fun. And it's just got some of the best lines that Peter Capaldi could ever have. You want to talk about Doctor moments? I mean, little flip lines like, when he says to Money, like, you know what thinking is? It's just a fancy word for changing your mind. She's like, I'm not going to change my mind. And he says, you will die stupid. I think like that's a Peter Capaldi Doctor like line. Like I can't imagine like too many of the other doctors really being able to own that in such a way. But then it's got, I think, one of the most beautiful sequences and speeches that the Doctor ever gives is when he's mediating between the two groups, and he just says, it's always the same. Like, how much blood is going to be spilt here? Because you're going to have to do eventually what you would have had to do at the very beginning, what you could have done from the very beginning, which is just sit down and talk. And it's just, I mean, that quote has stuck with me more than a lot of quotes from anything else. And it's so true. And, it's just like, then you will die stupid. Like, it's just like they sort of go hand to hand together. Great effects too. The Zygons are so creepy in this, and they're so menacing. They're not turned into like toys. They are really a threat here. I love it.
Awesome. Good pick. No. And it was interesting because it also felt very James Bondy in a lot of ways also in
Yeah,
that
sure.
story.
I can see
Yeah.
that.
Yep. It definitely did.
Yeah, well,
All right.
that's what I mean. It's got a third Doctor vibe to it.
Yes. And it's it is just such a good one. And he became president of the earth, which is just even more, you know,
As you do.
As you
of
do.
course, as you do. All right, Mary, what do you got?
Well, you guys have named all my episodes, but I have a runner-up, and it's actually his final two-parter, his final episodes, which are World Enough and Time and The Doctor Falls. And because I just think it's a great Cyberman story. It's again extremely creepy, lots of body horror, and especially what happens to Bill, but just the build up to his regeneration and the way things are just completely falling apart. Like he cannot save Bill no matter how hard he tries. I mean, I realize she's sort of kind of saved in the end, but he does not save her from the pain of becoming a Cyberman, or the delusion that she is under. And I think that was a very interesting thing to explore. And Capaldi just plays it with such um, despair and empathy and anger that this is happening. And it's like everything is just Missy, who has maybe not become a good guy, but at least a sort of neutral type of guy,
Mhm.
is and then she's killed by the master, so she has this realization, but then she's gone. And then Nardole is left fighting through the levels of the ship, and you know that eventually they're going to reach the end and they're going to lose. And they even say that straight out. You know, it's a fight you can't win. And but there's still like Capaldi plays it well, because especially for the kind of doctor he is, because it would be easy for a character to fall into despair, and while everything around him is despairing, there's still that I'm gonna fight, which is actually a lot like Heaven Sent. I'm gonna keep going no matter what, even if it's leading me to my death. What I'm doing in the moment matters. And so I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep fighting. And who knows what, if it will have any, um, if it will matter to the people who come after me, but I'm gonna keep trying anyway, which again, very relevant to where we are in the world now.
Well,
Because you got to keep fighting even when it seems hopeless.
I,
And it's just a wonderful, again, great performances from everyone.
mhm. I love how you had two masters in the storyline,
Mhm.
and because we never got that before, and you also got poor Bill, shot through the chest right in the very first
Yeah, she
scene.
is going through it.
Yeah.
in these.
And she gets converted into a Cyberman, and you have to see it through her point of view. It was so much goodness in this one, and I loved it. It was really well.
It's also like you said that, yeah, the two masters thing is important too, because you kind of feel like John Sims got not a great deal being the master, but here he's so good.
Yeah,
You're like,
he's great
man,
here.
we're like we want this guy, more of this guy.
Yes, why couldn't you do this? And it was not, he was told by RTD to overplay it.
Yeah.
And which is really too bad, because we missed out on, I think, a really great performance of the master. It could have been so much better.
And he
Yeah,
does
but
the
at least we get
goatee.
this. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, he does.
Yes, the evil
Brilliant.
goatee. Yes.
That's right.
He does. It does. Awesome pick. Awesome pick. All right, Mel, what you got?
I'm gonna go with Mummy on the Orient Express.
Nice.
It's
Yay.
it's I really enjoy this. Is like my little bottle episode that I can always just turn on and watch. I think it's a feast for the eyes in both the production design, the way that the cars look, the costuming is really nice and lush, and it's a great whodunit. I liked the monster. I liked the 66 seconds you have to figure out once that person, it sees the mummy, and it's like, okay, bye. I thought that the mummy being was it the soldier was kind of like it was a really good realized kind of monster. They and yeah, and most importantly, it's back when I really still liked Clara with 13. So or not 13, I'm sorry, with 12. So I mean, I've got to a point where I was not liking, like, she had go away heat after a while. So I'm like, at this time, I really liked everything about this episode. So, and the Doctor was just, to me, he was a little dark, but he was still, thinking everything through and talking everything through. So yeah, I just absolutely adore this one.
Nice.
It's a good one.
It is definitely a good one. And we almost got a new companion in this one, but he turned the Doctor down. And that would have been, Perkins would have been great as a companion. Awesome pick. All right, folks, 3 more to go. Let's go with Dr. 13. And we are looking at Jodie Whittaker's era. Just feels like it was yesterday. All right, we're going to start with Mike Gordon on this one.
It's hard for me. You can't get around. You can't get around it. For for the 13th Doctor, you kind of just have to bite the bullet and say, we're gonna have to go with the Chibnall episode.
Wah, wah.
Here we go.
Like, how far are we into this episode?
Almost 90 minutes now.
So, look, there was some good stuff here. Unfortunately, I thought it was few and far between, but when I look at, ones, and to be honest with you, I have not revisited this era, at all. And when I was looking through it, I was kind of like, well, which episode, if I had to, forced to watch another episode, of Jodie's era, which one would I pick? And, the one that I kept pointing to was Eve of the Daleks.
Okay.
It's it's the third part of it's the third chapter, I guess, of their Dalek, New Year's Eve stories or whatever. And but I think it's the best one. Jodie shines in it. The concept of them being stuck in a loop is kind of fun. Yeah, I mean, it's not breaking any new ground or doing anything amazing. But then again, I find that true of most of these. And I know it's shocking that I picked an episode without Graham.
I am heartbroken right there. Mikey.
You've let us down, Mikey.
But I actually thought Dan was fun. I was kind of not really wanting him. I didn't know if he needed to be there, and I don't think he did need to be there, but I thought that John Bishop was fun as Dan and had some moments. So, yeah, I just settle in and just pick this one because, to be honest with you, it's just sort of like the one that rose to the top when I was looking at these.
Okay. Nope. Totally understand that. And the Dalek stories were always fun because I will say this, Chibnall made the Daleks scary again. And so I thought made them interesting, and I liked that. And, I thought it was a good period. And, Dr. 13, she should have been so much, well, never mind. We're not going to go there. Let's not go there. All right, Melanie, you're up.
I went with, this is so bad that I went with I went with the Witchfinders.
Oh,
it's gonna be terrible because I went with the power of the guest of Alan Cumming, and it was
He's so good.
He's so
That's
good.
legitimate.
I mean,
that one was almost my pick too.
I really
Yes.
did enjoy this
I thought
episode.
about
I
that
thought
one. Yeah.
I really liked the heck out of
it was on my list too.
yeah, I mean it's enjoyable. I thought everybody did well. It's not like I
Mhm.
don't want to bash all the Chibnall ones, all that kind of stuff. But once again, I don't think Chibnall wrote this one. Um
No.
because honestly, because I've always thought to myself, like the ones that he did not write, I like the best because it was gonna be between this one and Demons of the Punjab, because those are the two I really like.
Yeah.
He didn't write them. So keep bashing. So anyway, but I liked that it was a timey-wimey one. So we actually went back in time. We used the damn time machine. Everybody, everyone would it was a great episode. Yeah, they even brought up the fact that, oh, look, it's a woman who knows science. She's a witch. It's why is nobody listening to me? Well, they're not gonna listen to you, lady. No, it was fun. I thought it was shot really well. It was, again, Alan just did an amazing job on this one, as always. And
Well,
that's
thank you.
You're very welcome.
Oh, you meant the other one,
Oh,
the
I
other
mean, both.
Alan. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, you're not the host of Traders?
You're not?
Right. Or am I?
Mm.
I almost went with that one myself, because it's when you have a character, and we got this with Ncuti also, when you have a character that in this case changes gender, you have to deal with that in some way. And this is the only episode where they really dealt with the fact that the Doctor is now a woman, and how that impacts the Doctor coming into a new situation and undermines his/her authority in a situation. And I thought it was actually well, and it was not written by Chibnall, it was written by Joy Wilkerson. So yeah, great.
Awesome. Alan, you're up.
Oh, well, in that case, I won't mute my mic. I went with, this was a hard one for me because there is a lot that I like about the Jodie era,
Yeah, of course.
but I went with The Haunting of Villa Diodati for a number of reasons.
Good
one, it's a really, really classic haunted house kind of story. It's a historical. You get this collection of great writers on the night, supposedly the night where the whole Frankenstein idea comes into Mary Shelley's head. And it does that in this case because you get this great Cyberman story with a really interesting and really unique take on a Cyberman. And because of that, you get that really great body horror element. But you also have a really fantastic dynamic between all the TARDIS crew. And there's a number of times throughout in the first two seasons of Chibnall, where I think that people always complain about 4-person TARDIS crew, and I don't necessarily agree with that. But there are a few times when it's done really well, and this is one of them, where each character gets a significant contribution to the overall story. And then you get that dilemma at the end where the Doctor is faced with a choice and having to deal with the Cybermen in a certain way. And what does she do? And I just thought it was great. It was a good costume drama. And the TARDIS crew get to play dress up a little bit, which is always nice. And I just think it's an incredibly atmospheric and beautiful, beautiful episode. And that whole thing where they're like, it's a ghost story, but then there's this thing out in the distance that's approaching them and they don't know what it is. So it's a haunted house story, but it's almost a base under siege story as well. And that's kind of the Doctor Who sweet spot for me. So I really love that episode.
Nice. Very nice. It was so haunting and so moody in that scene. Yeah.
That's why they call it The Haunting of Village.
I figured. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty awesome how that works. So awesome. I loved it. And it was an interesting story for sure. And it led right into the final with getting the master involved and such. And it was a good story with that. All right. We got Mary next.
Yeah, you guys have pretty much said all my episodes, but I struggled with this one so much because it just did not, this whole series just did not hang together for me at all. And it is not Jodie, who I absolutely loved and who rose above the material. But the stories for me were very clunky, and I just had a lot of trouble relating to them or even getting into them. And I did have some runner-ups, since you guys already mentioned mine. One of them was the Angel story from the Flux era,
Mm-hmm.
which only it just angered me because the great conceit of Jodie turning into an angel, and then they went nowhere with it. But I ultimately will land on, which is funny because I basically went on the same journey as Mikey G. And I landed on one of the Dalek stories from New Year's, only I chose the first one, mostly because, not because I think the story was so great, but because Jodie's portrayal of the anxiety around dealing with the Dalek was incredible. Her acting
Yeah, I agree
performance
with
was
that.
incredible.
Yep.
So for that alone, and also for the steampunk aesthetic, I did like the
Mhm.
the Dalek building its own casing. Um,
I thought that was really creative.
yeah, I did too. It was just a cool aesthetic. So, but
Plus,
I mean,
I love the
mhm.
mutant being outside of the casing and
Yes.
doing its own business and taking over what's her name? I can't remember the actress
Yeah,
name.
the archaeologists.
Yeah.
And
The
that was really nice.
Yeah, her
mhm.
name's gone out of my head, but
Yeah.
yes, I mean, it had the body horror aspect too, which I liked.
I lo-
So,
We really love body horror.
yeah, which you
yes,
Love
you
it.
obviously you guys do.
yeah.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, it's not that there's not there throughout the entire Chibnall era, there is, it's not that there isn't stuff to like. There is. There are
Oh yeah.
always these isolated instances of moments that I love, but it did not hang together to me story-wise.
No, that's totally makes sense. And that's part of the fun of it is, you know, finding the stories that you like. And that story was great because you never saw a Dalek possess people like this before. And,
Mm.
it was like almost felt like, what was it? Turn left or turn right, sorry, where you had the thing on Donna's back, you had a Dalek on your back
Yeah,
instead.
turn left.
Does that
Yeah.
yeah, and it was interesting because the actress who was the first one, the archaeologist, was the woman from the UK version of Ghosts, and so it was pretty fun to see her in a different role. And I just, it was a, I liked the three different Dalek stories they did, and even the one with Captain Jack was fun, and it was just, it was a good run of it. Awesome, Mary. For me, I am going to be doing the Demons of Punjab.
Okay.
I love that story because it's a historical story, but you also have you have aliens in it, but they're not bad guys, and they weren't the cause of what was going on in India at the time because it was during right after World War II, and it's when Pakistan split from India because the difference they had the Hindus and the Muslims, they were battling each other, and so they split into two different countries, and sometimes it went right through houses and sometimes it took families with them. And Yaz wanted to go see her grandmother when she was young and to learn about her, and they just happened to pick that day when that happened. And it was an amazing story, and it drew me to actually learn more about what happened in India at that time. And because it was just a neat story to see. And Jodie acted her butt off in this one, and this is her first season. And and thank goodness it wasn't a Chibnall written story, so it was actually decent. So, it was good for that. And it it was interesting. The aliens in the story were almost like a side note. They could have had the same story without them in it. So it was exciting, and we got Graham. So hey, it was a good thing.
All
So-
hail Graham.
Damn straight. Yay. So we got that one, and we're already on to the 14th Doctor, folks. This is good. This is good.
I'm wondering if there's going to be any overlap here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
wonder.
3 episodes.
Yeah.
All 3 episodes.
Oh.
Yeah, basically all 3 episodes. Moving on.
Okay. I'll do that.
I mean, yeah, there's not really, it feels like it's just sort of they're all connected
Yeah.
in some way.
Yeah.
And, and I don't think there's anything else, right? There's no other extended stuff with the 14th
Yeah,
Doctor, right?
there is.
Is there?
There is. There's a Doctor Who, was it Doctor Who magazine did a year-long 14th Doctor story that picks up from the regeneration and feeds directly into the little Davros mini episode,
Oh, wow.
which immediately precedes the 3 specials that we got on TV. So yes, there is a 14 issue comic strip. That's
With the 14th
basically
Doctor.
the 14th Doctor's first adventure.
Cool.
Gotcha. That's
Yep.
cool. I did not know that.
Interesting. So, all right.
So I picked that one.
Pick the 4th thing that I did not know about.
All right. Yeah, because you could have also picked the Dalek little short that they did with him.
Oh
Also.
God, no! Please don't pick that.
No,
Holy cow!
no, I don't. We'll just say all 3. There's only 3 of them. So let's go on to the 15th Doctor.
Beautiful.
All right, we are to the final Doctor currently, and he's not the final Doctor, folks. But all right, let us start. Let's go back. Alan, you get to go first since you started the first time.
Exciting. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that I almost went with Witchfinder because if you have a character that changes gender, deal with it, and they only did it really that one time. If you're going to have an actor who changes skin color, then deal with it. And they only did that really twice. And I absolutely do love this episode. I think it's so much fun, and I think it's really clever and very creative. But it does deal with the race issue, and that is Dot and Bubble. And I
That was
thought
on my
the
list.
whole setup
Yep.
of being so immersed in social media that you don't even look around you when you walk down the street was so prescient. And because you do see people who are on their phone and trip off the sidewalk or run into a pole or something. So it's just an extrapolation of that. And I thought it was really well done. And at the end, when he offers to save these people and they're like, oh, no, we can't do that because look at you. And it seems like it comes out of nowhere. But if you rewatch the episode, you see little bits where it kind of hints toward that.
Mhm.
You just don't really catch it at the time because like the first reaction that whatever her name is, somebody Bean has toward the Doctor, it could have been his skin color. It could have been a difference in class because she's very clearly upper class. It could have been because he's older and they have nothing but young people in this realm. So you don't really catch it immediately that it is a racial thing. And when you get to the end and it is a race thing and you get that incredible scene that Ncuti just, and this is the first episode that they did with him. They had already shot 73 yards first because he was still finishing up sex education. And so this was the first thing that they did with him. And he comes in and does this scene where he is like in such disbelief that these people would choose to risk walking off into certain death rather than be saved by a man who has a different skin color than them was absolutely like a showstopper of a performance. And I do love the episode. I think it's an awful lot of fun. And it has that incredible message at the end. So Dot and Bubble is my pick.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Good pick.
agreed. Yeah, and it was so well done. And the racism, it was very subtle until the very end when it slaps you across the face. And even then, some people ignored it. And it was so well written. It was so well done. It was the take on social media. People were being eaten right there on the street. And they had their head in the cloud, basically, not even noticing until it was too late. And it was just, and this, what was her name? It was Lindy. That was it. And she was such a horrible, horrible character. And you couldn't, you were trying to find ways to like her, but there was nothing likable about her. And that's the problem with society a lot these days. It's so many people are just having their phones right up to their nose. They don't even see what's going on in their world. And that's what I loved about it. So awesome. Awesome pick, Alan. All right, let's go on to Mike G.
I'm gonna go with, I don't know if this is the other story you were talking about, Alan, because you said there was two, but certainly I think it's definitely in play here. But there's so much more going on, which is season two,
Yep.
the story in the engine.
Absolutely. That's
That's
it.
a great one.
The story in the engine is just such a uniquely told story about in a way that's not been ever, I think, approached in Doctor Who. And the fact that, they're doing this to me is like, this is when I'm watching this, I'm like, this is what Doctor Who should be. Like, this is what I want from Doctor Who. I mean, yes, I like the fun stories with some of the old, villains and stuff like that. And I like a good master story and all that kind of stuff. And there's some fun stuff that happens with Ncuti as well. But this is like pushing, pushing this franchise further, pushing this character, pushing, like asking the audience to be pushed further and into stories that they're not accustomed to, opening up this franchise to other, races, people. It's just, to me, so powerful and so well done. And I love stories about stories. I love the power of stories, and so there's a lot of meta, things going on here, stories within stories within stories. But I just think this comes together so well. And I think when we found out the show was coming back and Ncuti was the new Doctor and everything like that and everything that was going to happen, the one thing that I was so hoping that we would get is new ways of telling stories, new things that we had never seen before in Doctor Who. And like, I don't want the same old, same old. If Doctor Who's about change, I want change. I want things that are different, unique, that I look at and go, oh my God, I've never seen that before. I'm intrigued. And yes, I want quality as well. So don't get me wrong. I don't want it just for the sake of having it in there. But I thought this one was a home run as far as that goes. And I hope whatever Doctor Who's future is in the, like, whatever it is, that we get different things. Like we get something that's totally mind-blowingly different. And more stories like this, please.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Very much so. That was my initial pick also. So it was a great, great story. I even like how it tied in to the Fugitive Doctor and so and it was
Yes.
and it was really well done. And I love the stories and the animation on the screen. And it was
Yes.
just beautiful all the way around. All right, Melanie, what do you got?
Whew, the Shooty's run, even though it's just two small seasons, which makes me kind of go, because it was hard going through them and picking which one I liked the most, because it just almost kind of had a little bit of a mourning kind of bit, because like the last two that Alan and Mike brought up, I mean, they're breathtaking, they're great, they're fan. I mean, there's so many to pick from. And we're I want more. Anyway, I'm gonna go with Lux. We're going with Alan again, different Alan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Alan guy getting on my
That
tail.
Alan guy again shows up.
I will say that I was trying to focus on the ones that I think are the like most identifiable. Lux is absolutely my favorite.
Yes.
For me personally, Lux is it. But I think for like, you know, the most, I don't know. I can't explain my reasoning. But anyway, Lux is Lux is the most incredible episode in the history of the show.
Yes.
I absolutely adored how once again they went a little bit different with how kind of meta it went.
Yes.
So they had fun with the outside viewer, the Doctor Who, you know, picking at that a little bit and all that fun. But I being able to also showcase old school television, old school cinema in the movie magic kind of ways of, okay, we're going to blend live action with animation, not just CG, but also having them in front of the green screen and doing the miming kind of stuff that, yes, for this one they probably put, you know, they put them in front of a green screen to do this kind of thing, but they were able to do that back then also with rotoscoping. And there was some vibe word that the way that they were doing some of their CG for this felt rotoscoping, or it felt like they shot it in a different aspect ratio for certain scenes. And to me, it was like almost like a little bit of love letter to how cinema was done and how our entertainment works and how we ingest our entertainment. And the Doctor, you know, and the costumings are great, the writing was great. I felt so bad for that projectionist, and you know, it's anyway, Lux.
Yeah, you didn't feel you didn't feel seen in that episode at all when he came out into the Whovians.
No.
Go ahead.
But I liked it was the light, and that he wanted that Lux just wanted a chance to grow, and I thought that was so neat how this when they were explaining how Lux was this little beam of light that went into the projector, that kind of was just so neat. In like my first job was working in a movie theater like so many others. So it was neat seeing them show off the magic of just the projector and how people watching this can get lost into this other world, and whereas like this kid, you know, little by little all these people really did. So I thought it was a wonderfully crafted story.
When the first trailers came out and you saw this animated character step off of the movie screen and into the theater, I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to see this episode. This is what I want from Doctor Who. Something crazy and unexpected. And then the second trailer came out and they showed the Doctor and Belinda turning into animation. And I thought, oh, I wish they had not done that. I wish they had saved that for let it be a surprise in the episode. Now they've ruined the episode. Then the episode comes and it, you know, I wanted to be surprised. Well, it surprised me in like 20 additional different ways other than just them turning into animation. And I thought it was incredibly brilliant.
Oh, yeah, very much so. I love how they broke the fourth wall completely out the window. And it was just like, wait, I know those people. Those are people I see, you know, all the time at Dragon Con, or, you know, or who I hang out with and watch Doctor Who. And it was just so well done. And I agree, Alan. I love the scene where he walked off the screen. It was just amazing. And like you said, this is what I wanted from a new era of Doctor Who. And we got it. And I thought it was a great, great story. And Alan's voice was awesome.
It's like
You know?
playing with the celluloid and having it we need to hold it so that it can burn. And I was
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yes.
oh, I like this.
That was the most
Exactly.
brilliant. I'm not a big Russell T Davies fan, but when he nails something, it is incredible. Midnight is one of those. This one is probably the peak of his achievement, as far as I'm concerned. I just think it's an incredibly brilliant episode.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. All right, Mary, what do you got?
Yeah, this was another one where there was just a wealth of riches to choose from. And I mean, in only 2 seasons, but wow, so many of these episodes hit. And it was kind of hard to decide what I was going to land on. But I almost went with Devil's Cord, but I ended up going with Boom, which is the one where the doctor's
Oh,
trapped on the landmine.
Mhm.
And it's
yes.
mostly because
The body
of
horror.
it's mostly how did you know? It's mostly because of Ncuti's performance.
Yeah.
Because Ncuti is an extremely energetic doctor. I mean, in his facial expressions, and he's jumping around, and he's just really, there's a lot of charisma that's really pouring from his character. And in this one, he is forced to be contained. It's like a base under siege story that is just been narrowed down until it's this one person, and he can't even move, even though he does move. But it's just so everything he has to sell it with restrained facial expressions, with his eyes, with minimal movements, and he does it. He completely sells it. You believe that he is in peril and he has to rely on somebody else to get him out of it. He's got to rely on Ruby to rescue him, and he is not sure about this, but he's gonna do his best. And it is such an interesting exploration of that sort of contained dynamic that we have not seen from this doctor until that episode. And I mean, and also the whole theme of war as a vehicle of profit, run by AIs. Well, you cannot get more relevant to our current situation than that.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, just an all around very, very stripped back and spare, but great episode.
Mm-hmm. No,
Yeah,
it
agreed.
was a great episode. And, you know, you know, it was interesting because you had those ambulances that were killing people because, you
Well,
had
it's not profitable to keep you alive, so
no, exactly. And
That's
it's
relevant.
and that's where they're
yeah.
going right now with so much in the real world. And you're having companies now, oh, I don't need to keep you around. I could use AI to take your place for a job. Or you have, oh, you don't need medical care. It's cheaper to have you die off than me having to pay all your medical expenses. And, it's just crazy. And it was such a very well done. And, again, this could have been very easily a one scene play. And it was just really nicely done. Very cool. Very cool. All right, me to finish it up. I actually did choose the Devil's Chord.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah,
Love that
Shocker.
episode.
Mike
Yeah.
picks the Beatles episode.
Oh,
Wow.
God.
Who would have seen that coming?
Shocker there, Who would have thought I would have done the music episode? Well, mostly the reason I chose it was because the acting of Jinx Monsoon was just amazing. I loved the maestro from the very opening scene to the very final scene. And I just loved everything about it. It was a fun story. Did I pick it because it was a Beatles story? Maybe a little bit, but not because, they had the worst actors playing the Beatles pretty but it was fun. I loved everything, from when Ruby and the doctor were up on the roof going, I'm out there in 1963, at my junkyard with my granddaughter. And that scene was just awesome. To the people with the music, and there's something that we talked about when we did the Pyramids of Mars episode about, how, if we don't fix things here, it's going to ruin your future. But doctor, I'm from the future. I don't remember that. And they go into the future to show Ruby what could happen. And it was just amazing to see that. And then the scenes with the doctor and the maestro were just amazing. I love the scene where they were crushing Ruby with the notes, and it was just amazing. And the snow started to fall, and which they never went into. RTD just dropped that whole thing, and it was just like, and the maestro going, "That's not right. That's not normal. What's going on?" And it just, threw it off its game. And it was just amazing to see that. There was just so much I liked. The only thing I don't like in it is the dance scene at the very end. I could have done without the musical number at the end, but otherwise I thought it was great. Thumbs up to it. And, to me, I think that was, my first real good episode of the 15th Doctor.
It was in Space Babies?
Yeah, I'm shocked that no one picked Space
Nobody
Babies.
picked it.
I'm like, what? What are we even doing here?
I'm also,
No.
but you have Rogue, you have 73 Yards, you have so many great stories. Just don't watch it.
I almost picked Joy to the World.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, that one is solid. I think that one is a fun, solid episode.
Well, it is. The Doctor stranded on Earth for a year. That was really well done. And you had its buddy Anita. It was awesome. So awesome. We definitely would love to hear from you guys at home. What did you guys think of, which stories did, you guys choose for the different new series Doctors? I know a lot of folks who listen to our show are mostly new Who fans. So I'd love to hear from some of you folks at home, and definitely write us. Feedback at earthstationwho.com is the best way to do it. Wow, we're wrapping up already. Finally. So thank you for everybody who's joined us. We made it through all the Doctors. Definitely there's more stories out there to talk about, and we'll be doing it. If we haven't already reviewed them on the podcast, we will be eventually. We're not going anywhere, folks. Let's thank our crew for joining us. Of course, Alan, thank you as always, my friend.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on.
You want to promote your stuff?
Why not?
Why
you can
not?
You can find me at cosmiccreative.com, spelled KOZMIC creative.com. And you can check out my two newest Doctor Who books called Time Flight, 65 Years of Doctor Who History. Volume 1 goes from 1960 to 1989, and then Volume 2 goes 1990 up through the end of 2025. So check those out.
Most definitely, folks. I've actually picked them up. So definitely had a problem. They were, right there on Amazon on my suggestion list. It was like, I know that guy, So it's just like, I know that guy. I'll pick those up for you. So awesome.
Nice. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. All right, folks. Let's thank our regulars for being here. Of course, Ms. Mary Ogle, thank you as always.
Thank you. Always fun talking here with you guys. Had a great time.
Anything you want to promote or talk about real quick?
Well, you can, if you're local to the Tallahassee area, I'm in a current exhibition at Lemoyne Gallery downtown called Through the Fire, so you can see my work there. Or you can find me online at maryogle.com.
Awesome. Check it out, folks. She's got some great stuff.
That piece that's included in the exhibition that you posted on your Facebook is so gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
I absolutely love it. Well done. I'm glad you're in that exhibition. That's really cool.
I saw it today and I was just like, oh, she topped herself once again. That is awesome.
Thank you.
And Ms. Melanie Dean.
Thank you once again for letting me ramble about Doctor Who here. I love it. I love
Hey,
talking to y'all about it.
we're all ramblers. It's a good thing. So it's very cool. Where can people find your stuff?
You can find me on Instagram mostly now. That's Pieces of Melee, Melee. I finished my 3 murals in the Tampa Bay area. You can go on there and you can look at them. I know. So if you're in the Tampa area, the Met West buildings, the parking garages, I did all the floor murals to match the wall ones I did 5 years ago. So, yay!
Very nice. Nice.
I'm done. No more painting in 95-degree heat.
Are you going to San Diego this year?
I'm not, and I have some serious FOMO. So,
Yeah.
So many Dungeon Crawler Carl things I would love to buy, but I can't because I've been.
Oh. Well, sorry to hear that.
Sorry.
And last but never least is Mr. Mike Gordon.
As always, it's my pleasure.
Anything you want to promote, sir?
Well, besides all the podcasts that I'm part of, for folks in the Atlanta area, August 7th and 9th is our little convention that we call Monsterama, and I am the track director of the literature and comics and art track, and we have a great bunch of programming set up in that track. Also, the whole convention, we're celebrating the 100 years of Richard Matheson, who was an amazing. If you guys don't know who Richard Matheson is, definitely look him up. He's you should. He's definitely influential, and so we've got a lot of different tracks are doing programming because he was so influential with a lot of the movies, as well as his original short stories and novels, some of which we'll be covering in our track. And we've got some people who are associated with his estate, as well as some of the movies and other projects he was part of going to be there as well. We've got some other great guests lined up. So just go to monsterama.com and look at the information. But it's, August 7th through the 9th.
Awesome. On those dates, actually, I wish I could be at Monsterama, but we are headed out and we are going to be doing the world's longest yard sale once again. This time we are going to be traveling from Frankfort, Kentucky, all the way down to Chattanooga, Tennessee. So over to the Saturday and Sunday of the weekend, and it should be a ton of fun. We always find really cool geeky stuff, posters and old toys, old artwork and metal artwork, and even found a couple microphones the last time we went out. So it's kind of fun stuff, and they call it the 127 yard sale, and it goes all the way from Gadsden, Alabama, all the way up to Central Michigan. So you definitely should be able to check that out. It's over 4 days, and there are actually people who do the whole route. And not us. We can't. That's just a little bit too far. But it's going to be a ton of fun. It'll be myself, be my lovely wife, Jodie, and, of course, our friends Shane and Tyra Burton, and our friend Andrea is going to be coming along. And also, I think my friend Jessica is going to be joining us also, because she lives in Louisville, and she'll just drive over to do 1 day of it with us. So it should be a ton of fun to do and see. And, we've actually had listeners come up to us when they saw us, because I usually wear like an ESO or an Earth Station Hoop t-shirt on one of the days. And they actually go, I listened to your show. And so it's actually pretty fun when you get that happen. So it's a cool thing to do. Podcast wise, you could always find me over on Tales from Hollywoodland. This last episode, we did Broadway showstoppers. A lot of fun talking about some of our favorite musicals and music that, we grew up with, or in the old guys' place that they got to see as adults. So it's pretty cool. But they got to see people like Ethel Merman and, Sandy Duncan and, all these different folks do Broadway, and it's just amazing to see what their experiences were with it and everything with that. Robert Preston in The Music Man would have been amazing to see on Broadway, and so kind of cool stuff to do. And So definitely check it out. You can find that wherever fine podcasts are found. Want to thank everyone from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you again for watching us, listening to us. Please like and subscribe. That's, the best way to find when we have new episodes out. If you enjoy it, give us a thumbs up over on YouTube or 5 stars on audio, wherever you're listening to us. And we will be back again, and we would really appreciate it if you feel like helping support us. We do have a Patreon over at ESO Network. Check it out. For as little as $1 a month, you could help support us. And, that way we could bring new content, maybe improve the video and get, maybe some people to help us out, to help more people find us. You never know how that works. But until then, on behalf of Alan, of course, Melanie, Mary, and Mike Gordon, thank you for listening. My name is Mike Faber, and we'll see you next month on Earth Station Who. Peace and Alan Z, my friends. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. We miss you already.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from throughout space and time. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individuals and are to be used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our show wherever fine podcasts are found, or check out our website, earthstationwho.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and if you enjoyed the show, please write to us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next journey of Earth Station Who.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.